Welcome to the subcommittee. Chris, we've got you for 5 minutes to speak to the submission on the Treaty of Waitangi Principles Bill. In the interest of time, I'll hand straight over.
Oh, thank you so much. So, thank you very much for the opportunity. I realise I'm one of the few that have that opportunity. So I'll take that my submission is read, and just wanted to expand on one part of it, which is the element I referred to of common humanity. And in my submission, I highlighted Shylock's famous soliloquy from The Merchant of Venice, where he says that even though he's a Jew, does he not bleed like everyone else? And when he is tickled and laughs, isn't that what we all do? And look, my position in this, I'm not a grand jurist or a constitutional expert, or representing an august body. You've already heard from plenty of those. My submission is more of a personal reflection. So about 7 months ago, I had the pleasure of meeting a treaty partner for the first time. This treaty partner is my newly minted grandchild. In 3 months, I'll meet another newly minted grandchild, but this one won't be a treaty partner. So some of my family will be treaty partners and some won't. Some grandchildren will therefore enjoy preferential access to medical school and so on, while other grandchildren won't enjoy that. And to me, sitting here as a grandparent in 2025, I find that almost like Alice in Wonderland stuff, to be honest. How do I explain to them when they're old enough to understand? How do I explain to them that all grandchildren are not born equal? Are they not loved equally, as Shylock would surely have said? But my history is a little unusual. My forebears were slaves twice. Many generations ago, they were transported by Muslims to Spain. My relatives escaped to Prague, and from there they were hounded across Europe, eventually relocating to Jamaica. And while in Jamaica, they intermarried with freed African slaves. So this is confirmed by Ancestry.com DNA testing. And so twice in my ancestry, I've been a slave, and probably more often if I dig deeper. And in fact, my ancestors may even themselves have owned slaves in Jamaica. I just don't know. But I suspect if we all dig deep, that this will be the story of all of us. History is messy, it's imperfect, and sometimes embarrassing, and at other times uplifting. None of us are responsible for what people did before we were born. We can only stand back and marvel at the rich tapestry of events that have led us to this Zoom call. Notwithstanding some awful things, like Ukraine and Gaza, by and large, we now live in a golden era of human history. The Enlightenment values of the West have freed us from the horrors of previous centuries and millennia. It has been hard fought. It's what we think about on Anzac Day, why those soldiers died. The treaty brought Enlightenment values to New Zealand at a time when Maori were engaged in musket wars. And as Governor Hobson said in 1840, we are now one people, and he could have added, under the Enlightenment. As everyone hoped would happen, the fighting and slavery by and large stopped, and economic development ensued. This is not to say that perfection was instantly achieved, and if that's the standard that we're going to hope to live by, we might as well pack up our bags and go home. And it's also why we have a treaty settlement process. Now, I know that you have heard very eloquent arguments both for and against the bill. What the opponents of the bill have not done is to describe how it's all going to work in the future. What if we were to accept that Maori never ceded sovereignty? What then? In my family, we don't dwell on past slavery, the Holocaust, or ethnic cleansing. We recognise that all we have right now is the present and the future, and a common humanity. So I look forward to the day when my family is not split between those who are treaty partners and those who are not, where some of my family ceded sovereignty and others are only visitors. It all harks back to medieval times and all the barbarity that ensues from categorising people by blood, quota, caste and race. We know how Enlightenment values have transformed societies with freedom, tolerance, opportunity and prosperity. The Treaty Principles Bill is one way of ensuring that future generations continue to benefit from this rich inheritance. The norm in human history is for tribal violence and poverty. If you add up all the humans who have ever lived, we are the luckiest of the lucky. Let's not ruin it. We have an opportunity to pass the Olympic flame on to future generations. So let's do it and support the Treaty Principles Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. We're pretty much out of time there, so we don't really have time for questions. But thanks. We've got your written submission. Thanks for taking the time. And you're right, you are one of the few. But thanks for taking the time to come along and make your submission. Kia ora.
Thank you.